Hello, one and all. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast. It's just a regular weekend's racing we're previewing today. In this instance, the last one we had was our Cheltenham special. That is out now. So 5 great minds, myself not included, going through the Grade 1 races at Cheltenham, plus some handicap bets put in there as well. Best bets, best lays for each day, and overall best bets and best lays for the Cheltenham Festival. That's well worth getting stuck into. Loads of people have interacted with it and watched it already, and it'll be up right the way through till the Cheltenham Festival. With that in mind, we've also got a Cheltenham handicap special. Now we know the weights. That is coming up on Thursday, so 6 days' time, a Cheltenham handicap special. So look out for all the promotion relating to that. The insights post for the Cheltenham special is up as well, because loads of horses were put up, so well worth heading there and making a note of all the horses that we all fancy. This is all about Kelso. It's all about Doncaster and Newbury as well, but Kelso in the main. Don't forget to like and subscribe, of course, if you want to listen to each and every podcast, and that goes for all the sports that we cover as well. And without further ado, I think we're going to get stuck in. I'll say hello to Longshot Ted. He's back. Ed, how's things?
I'm back. I'm very well, thanks. How are you doing, Tom? You're looking wide awake there. Wide awake on the screen.
Buzzing with a 2-week-old. Yeah, I'll have to get all the tips off you and how to deal with it. So,
wow, God, yeah, those days, yeah, the rear view mirror, thankfully now, but yeah, absolutely, yeah, lots of coffee and lots of sport on television. But other than that, yeah, I can't offer much more advice.
Well, you see, I wanted to time another child in with maybe an Ashes overseas. We got the New Zealand one, but I think that's what it's all about. You gear it towards when you can watch.
Yeah,
spot in the middle of the night.
You're spot on. I've had the Ashes overnight, and it was my son was the 2016 Olympics, so I'll be tuning into the pole vault at 10 to 4 in the morning and stuff. You know, betting on some Azerbaijani discus throw I'd never heard of. Yeah, fantastic, basically. But yeah, that's the only advice I'd give you. Yeah, sport, coffee.
The advice isn't to bet on an Azerbaijani discus. That's not sound advice. Of course, when the fun stop. But
you get the sentiment. You get the sentiment. Yeah. Late night sport always helps.
Yeah, good. Steve, any advice you want to give us this morning?
Yeah, right. Well, I think it was the pole vault that got you into this trouble, wasn't it?
Of course, it's early for that.
Very good. My advice to Steve would be don't go drinking with Luke Harvey. Charlie Post, how are you?
Yeah, I was wondering if it was the javelin that was the issue, but yeah, I mean, but I mean, at the same time, whatever you're going through, Tom, you look a hell of a lot better than Steve. So
Yeah, I feel for him. But listen,
mine's down to hard work, I can promise you.
Yeah, sounds about right.
We're sure.
Sounds about right. Right, we're going to get stuck in as Steve downs his coffee. So we're going to go through this time of year. It feels sensible to stick to courses just in case anything is off, although it's not going to be this weekend. So we'll do all of Kelso, then we'll do the 2 from Donny, then we'll do the 2 from Newbury. We've got 9 races in total, so here we go. 1:15 at Kelso is first up. I'm not sure if we've got prices on screen. I should check that with our producer, but if not, I'll read them out very shortly. But I will ask Ed who he fancies, because I agree for this Cyril Alexander Memorial Novices Handicap Chase.
Yeah, I think we're on the singing from the same hymn sheet here, aren't we, Tom? I'd be with Bill Baxter. I give him another chance. Progressive sort, really taken to fences. His chase debut at Bangor on D, he was nibbled at big prices and then ran an absolute stinker. I think the Greatrix team were mystified. It turns out he swallowed his tongue or something along those lines. Anyway, he had wind surgery, and that seemed to make an immediate difference, didn't he? Because he bolted up at Linkfield. He then followed up again over this course of distance, admittedly on much deeper ground. But nonetheless, he's just really taken to the large obstacles. Just one of those horses you could see from his hurdle form. He's gone beyond that now, tackling fences. And last time out at Hereford, well, look, I mean, he had every chance, didn't he? He was still too far out to say whether he would have got the job done, but he was full of running. I think it was 3 or 4 from home, wasn't he, when he tipped up on that occasion? So, look, every horse can fall on this day. You've got to forgive that. He's in a slightly deeper race here, but I would be surprised if we've seen the ceiling of his ability off 128. He's back to the scene of obviously a venue where he's won at over fences, so he can get round here. And yeah, all in all, I thought he was fair cop against Charlotte Jack, who I do like. However, I just thought he ran a an abysmal race on this card 12 months ago, and that's just got me slightly reticent about him. So, and I think the scouts had said he got worked up in the horse box was the official line. The long journey he didn't take. I mean, again, I have no idea about the travelling merits of horses and how difficult those kind of logistics can be from Warwickshire up to Kelso. But look, all in all, Bill Baxter for me. I think he'll get the job done.
And just add to that how much better they're going now. The Great Tricks Yard, particularly in recent weeks again, having gone a little bit quieter again. I don't really know what would have happened last time, but I like his profile since Bangor, and I suppose that he needs to prove himself on. It's probably not going to be no worse than Good to Soft, but I think it'll be absolutely fine. So I'd be a small win bet on Bill Baxter. Steve Jones.
Yeah, I'm not going to have put anything up in here for the very reason that Ed said. Sherlock Jack, I don't want to back him. I don't want to get back against him. So
great. That's filled me with enthusiasm really the whole day.
Well, it does say on the sheet.
It's Friday afternoon now, Steve.
It does say on the sheet 9 races. Don't have to have a tip in every race. So the first one.
No, well, why have you put Sherlock Jack in brackets then? Just put no bet. Why? I don't get all this brackets. If Charlie doesn't have a bet, you just put no bet, don't you, Charlie?
Just
right,
because because you haven't had much sleep, don't take it out on me.
That's enough from Jones. There we are. Ever the journalist trying to get his word count up. I'll just put one in brackets. Right, Charlie, who do you fancy?
I just have visions of Steve going through this podcast with just no bet and just saying, all I want to do is go back to bed. I feel like death. But the Castle Russian for me, and I'm amazed at this because I've put up a Fame and Glory over fences, and he fits the profile of Fame and Glory. He's unseated twice in his 3 starts, but he has a bit of back class. He ran well at this meeting a couple of years ago behind My Drogo, ran nicely behind 300 through 5 over hurdles, and like I say, chasing hasn't worked out, but he was still travelling well at Newcastle when he unseated last time. And the thing that interests me a little bit is Sean Quinlan rides him for the first time over fences, and Brian Hughes, a brilliant rider, no doubt, but Sean has a slightly different riding style to him, and I just wonder if it might be the key to also this. He rides with a bit more length of leg and kind of just gets in behind and wrestles him a little bit more than Brian Hughes maybe would, and there's no doubt this horse has enough ability to take a race out like this. Sherlock Jack is up 11 for his last win, and Bill Baxter's gone up 13 over his couple of victories over fences. And I just thought if this horse could get it together, he has enough class to take out these two in an open contest. But again, like you said, Tom, small stakes for me.
So Castle Russian is 6.0, Sherlock Jack 2.75. And Bill Baxter, who Ed and I are with, is 4.5. All right, we move on, staying at Kelso to the 150. And this is the Moor Battle. Of course, there's a few in here who are going to look to do what the Shunter did a few years ago and go on for that 100 grand bonus. And your man is trying to do it again in the form of Emmett Mullins with McTeague, who's 5.5. Lorna Fowler's Colonel Mustard is 7.0. Loda Sud is 7.0. Teddy Blue 7.0. Dear Mac 9.0. Then we're into the bigger prices. I suppose, interestingly enough, nobody is with McTeague, even though we could all look stupid because there'll be a good few out there who think it's so obvious, and 5.5 is still fair enough. But 2 people with Dear Mark. Steve, kick us off.
Yeah, I really like Dear Mark, trained by Sam Thomas, who obviously won the big race at Kempton last weekend. So his form, his stable form's good. And that's important because Dear Mark was a non-runner in the Betfair Hurdle because I think he scoped poorly, or he certainly wasn't in great shape when he got to the track. So that's a good thing that the horses are back in form. And Dear Mark, before that... before the Betfair Hurdle, he was in great form. He won on his handicap debut at Kempton. He won by a length and a half, but that doesn't tell the full story because he absolutely cruised through that race. And it took a bit of winding up in the closing stages at Kempton. You could say that Kempton might have been a bit sharp for him. But I think it was more to do with the fact that the pace wasn't strong, and he just kicked in to turbo in the closing stages on the run and came right away in the end. He's going away at the line. And I think a bigger field and a stronger pace is going to suit this horse absolutely perfectly. Now, the form of that race last time hasn't worked out well, but he was just so good there. And I think that's quite good because he's only gone up £6 in the handicap. And if he'd have shown his superiority, that he actually was so much better than the others, he'd have gone up a lot more than that. So he's a horse I like from a trainer I like. And I think he's got a lovely weight and I think he's got a really good chance. So Dear Mark is my tip in that race.
Edward, what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I'd agree with a lot of what Steve says. Shock horror. That's a collector's item in itself, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, officially, he was pulled out on account of the ground at Newbury, which was like the runway at Heathrow Airport, wasn't it, really? I mean, it was absolutely rattling. There were course records going all over the place. And I think Sam Thomas felt it was too quick for him. So, look, I think he's got a lot more in his favour here. Going to be a lot more give underfoot. This big field scenario is going to suit. Totally unexposed. He's a lovely family, actually, looking through. He's closely related to Best Mate, believe it or not. You start looking through his pedigree. He should make up into a nice chaser next year. And, yeah, all in all, I just think he's going to really suit the dynamic of this contest. In regards to if you're looking for a bonus in terms of him, I mean, I think he's 71st on the list for the county hurdle at the moment. So he would need to absolutely romp home to have any kind of chance under a penalty, I think, of making the race. But nonetheless, I think this is the here and now for him. And as you say, whether others will potentially have their eyes on other targets. I think this is just tailor-made for Dear Mark, and I think he's pretty solid.
Charlie and I were Colonel Mustard, who I was pretty excited about going to Newbury, and then the ground was never going to be right for him. I suppose it's obvious that he's going to target going back to Cheltenham, £3 higher than when third to State Man, and the likes of First Street as well, who was second. So we know how good that form is. Fences didn't work out, and I thought on what we've seen and given that we know the horse is well treated based upon that county form, Charlie, that he should be at the top of the betting over McTeague. I know we've got the Emmett Mullins factor with McTeague, but what we know about them, McTeague's a 4-year-old as well. I don't think that makes life easy necessarily. For all that Emmett's argument, I think, is that he wants to take advantage of the weight for age rather than go down the 4-year-old route at the festival. But I thought Colonel Mustard had enough claims to be bang at the top of the betting, so I'll back him.
Completely agree. And I mean, I think, there's an also win and place argument if we're going to get 7.0 with him. I mean, like you look at it, the county hurdle form is rock solid. He potentially was a non-stayer over 2.5 at Aintree in the Grade 1 novice there. And then chasing just hasn't really worked out for him. He's by McPhee and he hasn't looked a natural. But I mean, even the second 12 Fabio doesn't look that bad now, does it really? And I think that the race is framed by the fact that everyone's running scared from Emmett Mullins. I must admit, I found it hard to really get an angle on the runners that he's got across the card on Saturday at Kelso. But yeah, I would agree with you. I don't see a reason for Colonel Mustard not to be favourite. He could potentially even make up into a graded hurdling performer yet. And I think he's rock solid, Tom. Yeah, I really do. And just quickly, when we moan about prize money, Kelso, 51 grand to the winner of this race, as in deserves applauding, because all we hear is negativity about prize money. I mean, fair play to Kelso with this card, putting on serious money, and lo and behold, decent racing.
Yeah, the prize money across the board that we're putting on this, what we're seeing this weekend, in the two features, the Grimthorpe and the Great One at Newbury is not bad. I suppose that you're just, particularly nowadays, you're never going to get the fullest fields because it's so close to the festival, and horses would always rather go for those festival targets. We probably saw it in the Kempton race last week as well. But anyway,
yeah,
that's by the by. Don't want to get Steve started on that, blimey. I think he nearly smiled. The 225 is the Bet365 Premier Novices Hurdle Grade 2, 2 miles and 2 for it. Again, another Emmett Mullins horse bag at the top of the betting in the form of Ferranilli, who is 4.33. Nameen Line is 5.5. Colonel Harry, 7.0. Ho Jolly Smoke, 10.0, as is Accidental Rebel. And bigger prices the rest. Yeah, we've got 4 different horses going up. Charlie, you can kick us off.
I mean, first and foremost, Ferranilli is going to, it's going to need to be very good to take this out on Hurdle's debut, I would have said. But I mean, there's no doubt that the bumper form is there for all to see. But I just couldn't really have it. I think the price reflects connections really, rather than what we've seen on the form book. I went down through the race. Nameen Line ran super in the Tolworth. had a hard race. Colonel Harry also finished behind, and then won with the penalty. Nice hit Newcastle. I thought Accidental Rebel was interesting. First run back since the Persian War, plenty of upside. But I ended up coming down with Snake Roll for Lucinda Russell. Horse in flying form. He was very impressive at Newcastle on his penultimate start, and then possibly did too much at Warwick in very attritional ground in the Grade 2 there in the January meeting. I just thought back on the fresher surface, he freshened back up. If he gets whether he'll get a soft lead, but if Derek Fox is able to set sensible fractions on the front end, I thought 11.0 for this horse was pretty big, considering he went off, not much more than I think he was sort of 6.0, something like that for the race at Warwick, and I'm going to have a small win and place bet on him.
Okay, I'll come in next purely because I quite like Ho Jody Smoke at the prices. He's a really big price based upon if you're not with Farinelli, which I'm not. So 10.0 for a horse whose debut hurdles form is pretty good behind Making Your Mind Up. He's gone on and won a couple since. He got the last wrong that day. I don't think he would have won, but he would have been closer than 3 and a quarter lengths behind. And then last time at Chepstow, he did pretty comfortably best of those from ridden back a mid-division. The winner made all that day, and they went for all that. I think it was Adam Wedge on board the winner, quickened it up midway through the race. I mean, they're just a classic novice's hurdle where they basically started walking. There were a good few keen in behind, and yes, on official ratings, he's got a good bit to find, particularly with Nameen Lion and perhaps what Farinelli might be capable of, given that he contested a Grade 2 last time. But I think this 2 mile 2 trip could be ideal, given that 2.5 on his hurdles debut. Might have been because he got the last wrong. He wasn't that strong at the finish, but he was keeping on last time, and win and place. I think he'd probably be my strongest win and place fancy of the day. Ed.
Yeah, very trappy kind of stakes and minimum here, but on balance, I go with Colonel Harry. For the Jamie Snowden team, of course, just having a season to remember. I keep waiting for their horses to go out of form, but they've been operating for the last fortnight at around 25%. They just seem to just keep churning out the winners. And this Colonel Harry obviously is closely matched with Nameen Lion on the Tolworth running. It wasn't a great deal between them. Watching that race back again, Colonel Harry kept going left-handed a lot of his obstacles, which is no surprise in a way that when he ran at Newcastle after the Tolworth, albeit in a minor event, he looked a lot happier. He fairly bolted up on that occasion. I think he's improving. The form of that race, I say a minor event, it has actually worked out pretty well. The runner-up has come out and absolutely romped home, funnily enough, at Kelso since. So there is some kind of robustness to the collateral form, if you like. And I think Colonel Harry, put it this way, I think he'll get a better of Nameen Lion out of those two in this rematch with a left-handed course in his favour. And as I said, with the rude health of the yard, I wouldn't be shocked if there's more improvement to come here. So, yeah, I think he's look, you can make a case for loads of them, but I think Colonel Harry is definitely on an upward curve, a steep upward curve, and he'll be my pick, Tom.
Steve.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting race. There's loads of pace in here. There's a lot of these that have been making the running, so they all won't go mad keen in front. So it'd be interesting tactically who makes the running, who drops in. A decent gallop will certainly suit Casey Castle, if that's how you say it, who has got the track form. Since joining Sandy Thompson, has won twice, won twice, both times at Kelso. On heavy ground last time, beating a horse called Traprain Law, who wouldn't be the worst in any means, in giving a stone to that horse. I think was a really good effort and showed a good attitude as well, Casey Castle. It went up the far rail, which isn't always the place to be at Kelso, especially on testing ground. And when he lost the rail after the last, whatever it is, he wandered around a bit, but as soon as he got the rail again, he put his head down and really came home well. So slight longer trip on better ground, I think, would suit him on a faster pace. So I think he's really interesting, travels really well. And at about 13.0, I thought winning place, he was, I thought he was a really good bet to get in the frame at the very least, and he could easily win this.
That's the 2:25, the 3 o'clock. 2 more races to do at Kelso. has Santos Blue just about the top of it, 5.0. Dance with the Wind is 6.0. Nels Sun, 7.5. Well Educated, 8.5. Rafferty's Return, 9.0 as is Man's Glory. And Clay Rogers. And then into the double figures. Not sure who's strongest on this necessarily, but again, 4 different horses going up. So, Ed, you can kick us off this time. Nels Sun.
Yeah, going with Nels Sun on the strength of his course form, really. Unbeaten at the track, 2 from 2. Obviously won on this card last year. Didn't take to fences at all, has to be said. I mean, ran pretty well on air on Chase debut, but they just looked a little bit hesitant at Carlisle, albeit in a decent race the time after. So they shelved the chasing campaign, went back over hurdles, and I thought ran a real cracker, to be honest, on trials day at Cheltenham. Finished 6th, just outside the placing. The cheap pieces on for the first time on return to hurdles, and has got a couple of pounds back from the handicapper for that. So off 135 here, unbeaten at the track. Has had the wind up as well. Has got to be taken seriously. I suppose the question mark, if there is a major one, it would be the trip. Has never won over this far, but there's limited evidence to go on. Has only tackled it twice. Was runner-up at Ayr once upon a time, and then the only ever time he tackled this trip was in the grey one at Aintree behind 3 Stripe Life and finished 4th. So it was far from disgraced in that lofty company. So yeah, Nels Sun, 7.5, a track he's unbeaten at. That'll do for me.
And Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, not very original, but Santos Blue for me, a proper job done getting him sort of graded in off the right sort of mark to start life off. And, he's been impressive on his two starts in handicap company. The form, the last at Chepstow has been frank. No, Tonic was narrowly beaten. Might even been yesterday or a couple of days ago, and he got a chunky £12 rise for that win, but he's still out the right end of the handicap, especially in a stronger race like this, and it wouldn't surprise me if it still doesn't kind of show the ceiling of his ability, and I think the Skeltons are one of the very best at this, and like I say, I think there's upside to him still, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him if he takes out a nice prize on the way up here.
Steve, who are you with?
This race has got a totally different shape to it than the previous one because there isn't much pace, and Rafferty's Return likes to go up and make the running or be up there, and he's in his last 3 starts, he's twice finished behind a horse called Iroko. Last time out, he was 2nd to that horse. I think that horse is very good, and I think he's very well handicapped. So I didn't think that was a bad effort at all, especially it came on the back of a win at Wetherby over slightly further over this sort of trip when he showed a cracking attitude. He made the running that day, was taken on up front and still saw it out really well. I think his biggest problem is if he does get a soft lead, he doesn't want to be going slow. He wants to be going the right pace. He's got the right man for that in Sean Quinlan. I think he's a very good jockey. And so Rafferty's Return for me to make all the running, see him out up the hill.
Okay, and I'm with small stakes Donny Boy, Win and Place at 15.0, who is back over hurdles, having pulled up at this track last time on heavy ground. He's fine with cutting the ground. Might have been a bit of testing, but ultimately he just looked very poor. He never looked like he was even in it, and was only 3.5. He's had his win done subsequently, been off for 65 days. The Yard are in good nick since the turn of the year. They've had a good year all in. And if you go back through the pick of his hurdles form, yeah, he was 12.5 lengths behind John Bond, but whatever, the John Bond won easy. But subsequent to that, I don't think he'd have been too far behind Nels Sun here in the Grade 2 when he was brought down by the Trevor Hemmings horse who unshipped his rider and fell. And he was staying on that day. I think that this 2.5 is about what he wants, given his staying on efforts earlier on in his hurdles career. He is a bumper winner at the track, and I just thought he was worth chancing in a race where I didn't fancy many at the top of the betting off a mark of 125, off a break, wind done, back over hurdles where fences really haven't suited. So Donny Boy, Win and Place. That is the 3 o'clock done and dusted. The 3:35. This is difficult, I thought. So Zanza is going to go to Newbury, but 4.0 here. Lamilos is 3.0, the Shunter 3.75, Wishing and Hoping 9.0, Empire Steel 9.5. I've written no bet. Steve's written no bet, and then Lamilos in brackets, which is completely pointless. Charlie, who do you fancy?
I agree with you. This is again, it's a small stakes race because you're looking at Lamilos probably should win, but he's got the national entry. You'd imagine that this is going to be used to tee him up for that, and so whether he's going to be subjected to a hard race, I said similar comments with the Shunter. And I just came down with Wishing and Hoping. He's rated 146. He's very much at the veteran stage of his career. He gets £4 off Lamilos, and it was just more if he could get an easy lead and get out in front and get them all on the stretch, like he did at Sandown the last end, the veterans final. Concern is if Empire Steel takes him on, which would be a negative. But like I said, I just found it a really trappy contest, and it was more the fact that if Wishing and Hoping get an easy lead, it could be that he might just provide a shock in this with other runners having bigger targets in mind later in the spring.
To be fair, Giles has said, I get Jonesy, brackets equals lukewarm. And he's also said, good case, Steve. So you there you go, doing something right. Ed, you can make your case.
Yeah, again, I'm not bowled over by anything massively, but I'll be Lamilos in no brackets for this one. Yeah, I just thought, and I agree with what Charlie was saying here. Again, it's with eyes on the big prize at Liverpool. Are you going to want to go to the bottom of the well in that sense? But I thought Lamilos, being the 8-year-old on official figures, has got Wishing and Hoping and Empire Steel held, albeit Wishing and Hoping is in receipt of £4. I thought Lamilos was the horse on the upward curve. I'm tentative Lamilos. I mean, only it'd be the type of race where you tip something now and then you hear connections on the television tomorrow morning, kind of giving you we've got him at 80% because obviously we're looking at Aintree, and then there's a big drift in the market, isn't there? So if push Lamilos, but again, I might have to go down the Steve Jones territory, start putting things in brackets here.
It's that nature of the car, isn't it? That is Kelso, done and dusted. So we've got two Donny next. Going back to the 130 again. There's only two going up here. So Ed and I are sitting this one out for this 2-mile handicap chase. Steve and Charlie have got a couple individually, and I haven't got the prices up in front of me. So Steve, you can make your case first of all.
Yeah, Excitations for me, who is a horse trained by Pam Sly and ridden by Sam Twiston Davis, who
5.0, Steve, 5.0, apologies.
That's good. Who's had a good time of it, won a couple of times the back end of last season, or the back end of his runs last season, and then kicked off this season in good form, won at Doncaster over this sort of course and distance, and then followed up at Sandown on softer ground, but no problem with the going whatsoever. And I just thought the last twice the races haven't really panned out for him. So with the course form, his last 3 visits to Doncaster, he's won twice, and he likes the ground. And I just think that he's still in good enough form to be able to win this. So Excitations for me.
And Charlie, your horse is 12.0.
Yeah, Hasanki for me. Had a really good time of it last year. Maybe he'd prefer slightly slower conditions, but he ran well at Wetherby on his second run back from midwinter break on good. He dropped another £2 for that, back down to 135. He was narrowly beaten at Ayr off 136 in the autumn, and so Laura Morgan and Lewis Dobb combined for a winner earlier this week. I think he's a young rider that's very, very good value for a £7 claim. And I just thought this horse was the sort of one that could be coming back to the boil. You know, he ran well in a Grand Annual as well at the festival last year. So a talented performer on his day, showed signs that he was returning to form at Wetherby, and 12.0 I think is very big in a race with plenty of exposed horses in here.
Okay, 130 at Donny, done and dusted. 12.0 for Hasanki. The 315, Grimthorpe has Cooper's Cross at 3.5. Does he know at 4.0 on the top weight? Castle Robbins 6.0, 7.0 under supervision. 11 Windsor Avenue, 12 Sporting John, and then we do get into the slightly bigger prices. We've got 3 different horses going up, and Ed, I'll come to you first of all. This horse is still in my tracker. I don't know why.
Well, why? It's because you're the forgiving type like me. That's
Yeah.
why, Tom. At Sporting John, it's his last chance saloon. But look, crikey, this is the best handicapped horse on the card. No uncertain terms. He was a fluky Grade 1 winner, wasn't he? When he won the Silly Isles, the race fell into absolute bits, but nonetheless, he did get the job done. But compared to his peak hurdle form, he was up in the mid 150s, wasn't he? He's here off 141. He's dropped a stone. He's plummeted down the weights. The blinkers are on the first time. Aidan Coleman goes there to ride. Just a part of me thinking, God, he's 12.0. If he went off at that price and won, I would have to sit down in a dark room. He's got the more ability than any of these in the locker. The problem is he's jumping like a snooker table at the moment. But I did think the Ascot race he got shuffled back early. He made a mistake early, and that just seemed to totally knock all his confidence from an early stage. And so this is much more calmer waters relatively. We've got a much smaller field. I think this is as well. Doncaster, big flat galloping left-handed track. I think this will suit him. He just said he's just a horse with a lot of back class. Listed winner over hurdles at Cheltenham. As I say, Grade 1 winner over fences in inverted commas. He's just got that back class. That off 141. Every horse has his price and has his handicap mark. He's in the career low territory here. If the headgear has the desired effect, he's getting towards the outsider of the field here, isn't he? Which just seems daft for a horse of, a year ago. He was around 12-1 to win the Stairs, wasn't he, before he picked up a knock on the eve of the Charter Festival. So, yeah, last chance saloon was Sporting John, but it would not shock me at all. That headgear works, then he's back. Also worth touching upon the Philip Hobbs yard as well. We were speaking about yards that kind of go in and out of form, didn't he? He went 53 runners. He had Time Hill win on Boxing Day, and then he went to the second week of February without a winner. It was just a total malaise amongst the yard. Yeah, they've come back with a bang. I think he's had as many winners in the last month as he's had since last April. So all in all, things looking a bit rosier with the Minehead handler. And yeah, Sporting John had a price. It's going to be kind of watch behind the sofa type stuff. Because he could easily belt one early, but he's got the raw class to absolutely laugh at this lot. So I'm going to take the chance at the price.
Watch behind the sofa for a horse that jumps like a sofa, basically. I like it.
You got it.
Giles has just says, "Please no, Ed." But listen, you never know. He's a weird one that he's in my tracker. I think somebody put him up on our horses to follow this year as a potentially well-treated horse. There you are. I am in agreement with Steve here, shock horror, right at the top of the betting. Go on, Steve.
Yeah, it's Cooper's Cross. I just thought this was pretty obvious. Won really well last time, the Sky Bet chase, albeit when Garlaw came to challenge him. But I just don't know whether that... I think he would have still won. I think that was an excellent effort. And I think he should have gone up a few more pounds than he has done. He's very consistent. He's unexposed over 3 miles. And I just think he's got a lot more in him. He wore cheek pieces for the first time last time. They're still on again this time. So I just thought it was all a bit obvious. He jumps well and he travels really well. And he's unexposed over this sort of distance. And he's going up again in distance, which I think will suit him. So I think he's the solid one at the top of the bay. I just had a look at that Silly Isles win of Sporting Johns. And you can say he was quite lucky. But the unlucky horse, it was Hitman. Oh, Jesus.
He's so unlucky, that Hitman, isn't he, James?
Oh, he's suffered so much misfortune. It's nothing to do with him being a complete hound, is it?
Yeah, well, he's bleeding. I think that's the fundamental problem. Is he's
when he beats Shishkin in the Ryanair, that'll be this would be the good show afterwards, wouldn't it? That would be the.
Best of luck with that project.
I'm not on him, but I say just to play this back, just to see.
All right. If Hitman beats Shishkin in a Ryanair, I don't even know if he's running in him. If he beats him in a Ryanair, right, we're going to do a Steve Jones hour-long special, just
Perfect.
talking about the race, taking us through the race. Just that. Can you agree to that, Steve?
Yeah, do you want to put a date in the diary?
Straight after the race.
I make sure I'm not doing anything all that week.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not going to happen, is it? Just
more chance of you getting a good night's sleep tonight.
Yeah, that's true. All right. The only thing I wanted to add to that, I will ask you a question. I really like the fact that he's, he tried 3 miles last time, seemed to love it. I think the 3 miles too will be ideal. Do you think he needs a strong pace, Steve? And will he get that?
Not particularly. No,
Okay.
I don't think he does. He was ridden from off the pace generally, but I just think he's that kind of, especially over this trip, that he's got a bit of pace to be able to get into it. He doesn't need horses coming back to him. I think he can, especially at a track like Doncaster where you got plenty of time.
And Charlie, this horse will be lumping the most weight if he wins since the last Samurai won it for Kim Bailey a few years ago. Although he carried 11.6, this horse has got top weight.
Yeah, he's a good horse though. This lad, he won the Reynoldstown last year. I mean, he took a handicap out at Cheltenham with 12 stone off 152, £5 higher now. He ran fine at Newbury the other day in the Grade 2, the Denman. And the concern is the form of the Kim Bailey yard. As in if Ed's with a yard in form, then Kim Bailey's unfortunately a struggling 4 form. But I think, when you're in one of these ruts, it's a class horse that tends to get you out of it. And again, I don't have an issue of backing a top weight in a race like this, especially an 8-year-old that potentially is still on the upgrade. And I know Dave Bass is pretty sweet on him. And like I said, I think the race and the track, everything is set up for him ideally. So does he know for me? Yeah.
Okay, turning our attention to Newbury. This is the 210, the seniors handicap hurdle. Ed, take me through this. What's up with you? Because I've been backing him ever since that piece of Cheltenham form a few years ago, and it doesn't always work out. But I'm with him again.
Yeah, it doesn't, and I do think he's got he's got a fighting chance here, hasn't he? In terms of I think the ground's a big difference here, isn't it? It was pretty soft at Kempton over the Christmas period, and on his penultimate start before that, where was it? I can't remember now. Was it Fontwell? I just remember that. Yeah, it was Fontwell. Mud was flying everywhere. He was backed into 7-2. Never really went a yard. I do think he's a bit fussy, but he looks like he's becoming quite ground dependent. It was April. It was Uttoxeter. There was more good to firm than there was anything in the ground when he won back last spring. And as you say, he was runner-up at Cheltenham's April meeting last season as well. He seemed to come alive on that ground. But just from a handicapping perspective, he won at Uttoxeter off 120. I know this is Steve's favourite area of racing. Obviously, BHA rating's the most important thing there is to go by. He's got them... Steve's got them pinned over his right shoulder next to his boxes he's got hanging up on that ledge there. But I think what's up with you off £1 lower than when last successful on ground that will really suit for another yard, which are having, numerically, if I'm someone with a finer mind than mine will be able to correct me, but I think Ben Pooley numerically having the best season since he took out his trading license a decade ago. And they continue in good form and sneaking in here down the bottom of the weights. Luca Morgan on board, to say. So £1 lower than when last successful. We'll love the ground. And it wasn't all that bad a run at Kempton, considering the ground went against him, I thought, at Kempton last time out. So that's my pick. Yeah,
the what's up with you form behind Galopin de Champs, Languedan and Fleur is here on 119. And as you say, if Ben Pauling can't win with him this year, I'll be stunned because he's having such a good year. So I'm with him. Second go with tongue-tied cheek pieces on. Charlie?
I came down with Champagne City. Ben Brookhouse has started his training career off really well. He's 2 from 6 over the last 14 days. And, with Sarson's risk, it might have been even better than that at Kempton. He tipped up when still travelling well. And in the Grade 2 juvenile there. He had a winner again up at Ayr with a horse that came from Tom George's, like this horse did. He's had 2 runs on the flat for Ben and finished 2nd and 3rd, ran well. He's got a bit of back class. He was rated up in the mid to high 130s at one stage of his career. He's off 124. and like I say, my angle is just first start for Ben Brookhouse over obstacles, and for a trainer that seems to have had horses set up to get his training career off to a very, very good start.
Let me give you some prices because I haven't as yet. Apologies. What's up with you? 8.0. Champagne City 13.0. Instantly, Darjanini is 4.5. JBY is 6.5. Pylon is 8.0. Locks Corner 9.0. Bold Plan is 9.0. And Steve is with who?
Yeah. Sorry, Locks Corner. I'm with Locks Corner, who I think is going to love the conditions. He was 5th last time to Itchy Feet, over 3 mile 1 at Huntingdon. I think he's going to be better off at this sort of distance. He won it over around 2.5 at Catterick and Ayr earlier in the season. He's a horse that lost his way over fences, but in that time, he came so far down the handicap. He's still well handicapped, I think. And his return to hurdles back in November was next second to Blenkinsop. Since then, Blenkinsop's won 3 times on the bounce. There was winners further back as well. And everything looks in good shape for Locks Corner with John Joe O'Neill and John Joe O'Neill. So I will go for him. Yeah, I was going to say something else then, but I've changed my mind. It was about what's up with you.
Cool.
I was absolutely staggered that What's Up With You won a race earlier. It was last spring, wasn't it? I was absolutely staggered because I think he tries about as hard as I do.
Who would win in a race between What's Up With You and Hitman, Steve?
Oh Jesus! Do you know I'd have to retire? I think a lot of people would probably be quite happy about it. Someone emailed into Racing TV the other day when I was on a nice Kempton Wednesday shift and said my voice was like melatonin. I thought it was quite good, to be honest.
That's very good. Mr. Melatonin. That's a good name for a horse. Great. I do podcast. The 245 is the Greatwood Gold Cup. And this is a good prize money offer here. This has Paint the Dream, last year's winner 4.0. So as is Zanza. Lord Baddesley is 6.0. Demerond is 6.5. Sebastopol 7.5. Then we're into the bigger prices. I sort of went process of elimination at the top of the market, Charlie, in the sense that Paint the Dream's got a lot more weight than last year, £11 more. For all, he was a very good winner. It's going to be better ground as well, although I know he likes the track and he's a winner on good ground here. Zanza absolutely loves it here, but I don't know. You talk about stuffing your handicap mark. And then you got Lord Baddesley for a yard in form, who's very much on the up. Has also won at the track. Definitely wants this sort of ground. Is versatile with regards how he's ridden. Has been up there. Has been back at mid-div. When I made the selection, he was slightly bigger, but not much. But yeah, small start. I'm more against the top 2 than with them. So I'm with Baddesley. Charlie. Yeah,
I completely agree with that. I mean, like you say, Zanza, great that he won the Denman the last day, but like you say, it's not done anything to help his chances in handicap company. And Lord Baddesley, again, is an example of Chris Gordon seems to be a trainer that enjoys switching them between fences and hurdles, which I think is a really good concept. I'm surprised it's not done more often. And again, the run at Kenton behind Balco Coastal, who I think we discussed the other day as a decent squeak in the Turners, and Solo, who then took out a grade 2 after that, is strong form, and his Plumpton run showed that he's in rude health. And just massive respect for the trainer. He's taken a big handicap out at Newbury this year already, and it wouldn't surprise me if he does again on Saturday. And I just think he represents value, because I feel both of the top 2 are too short because people are clocking on to both their love affairs with Newbury, Tom.
Yeah. And one of them will probably win it, but there you go. Ed, I know you're sitting this out. Steve.
Yeah, that was a tricky old race, because there's a couple of horses here that you could say weren't the best handicap, Paint the Dream and Zanza. But Zanza loved the track, and Paint the Dream is just a superstar horse because he keeps doing it. It keeps going up in the handicap, and you think they've got him, and suddenly he reveals that they haven't. But one right down the bottom, Gemirand of Venetia Williams and Charlie Deutsch. I loved the way this horse jumped on the front end at Weatherby when winning, making all the running. Probably won't get his own way out in front this time, but it is a progressive horse who I think's got the potential to be better handicapped than the rest. And for that reason, I would keep it fairly small stakes on Gemirand.
Any other bets time then? We'll come to Ted's Trixie for Cheltenham. Steve, nothing for you. Charlie, this horse has been entered a few times. He's in my tracker because you put him up at the start of the year. It looks like he's finally going to run at Foss Last, Salt Rock.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be straight up, Tom, because I put it on before. I don't know if he's been declared or not, but he's a horse that we produced through the yard. We sold to Kim Bailey. I spoke to Matt Nichols the other day. The vibes about him were very good. They think he's a high-class prospect. He's running in a bumper now because we got to this stage of the season and he hasn't seen a track yet. I'd imagine have one run then out in the field, but I got the vibe off them. They'd be very disappointed if he doesn't nearly take an ordinary bumper out, and he's in at Foss on Sunday. Whether he's been declared or not, I don't know. But if he has, then I'll be very much excited to be watching him run.
Has anyone got BHA admin?
Not anymore.
Have you, Steve? Good. Can you
What
check?
do you want to know?
So,
which horse is it? Sorry, I wasn't listening. Sorry.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Right. Can you
Which
check if
5:40
at Foss Lass on Sunday if Salt Rock's been declared? And while you're doing that,
hold the line, caller.
we're going to come now to Ted's Trixie for Cheltenham.
We got jazz
What we got, Ed? What we got?
Yeah, we got three for the festival. On the opening day, Brandy Love to win the Mare's Hurdle. I think it's between her and Honeysuckle. I think there was a massive overreaction to her prep run in inverted commas at Punchestown, where I say I'm no paddock judge, but listed a few troops on the ground there saying she was carrying more conditioning than me after my trip to the kebab shop, and she clearly needed the run. Willie Mullins has often gone straight to the Mare's Hurdle, where we did with Qvego. He's not had a problem in sending mares fresh there. He's stressed. We must run her. And she travelled like the best mare in the race by a mile for 90%, and then just emptied up the running. I thought she was giving £9 to win at Queensbrook. Of course, she was runner-up in it last year. I think she'll improve her fitness. She gets a pull at weight, so that rival. And I think a left-handed track at Cheltenham, much more to her liking. So I think she's going to take a lot of beating personally. Right, I'm hoping the Costa del Gloucester continues here. We had a little bit of rain this morning, but I'm hoping the sun stays out because good ground is imperative for Camprond, who I think Connections has done pretty well, to put it politely or succinctly as I can, to get him in off 138 this year. Of course, he was placed in it last year off 140. You remember rightly, Tom, that it was when the apps that day at Cheltenham when it was just monsoons, wasn't it? Just the day with Shishkin pulled up, and it was unbelievable rain, and that wouldn't have been in his kind of favourite at all. They've got him £2 over this time around. If he gets good ground, I think he's banging down. I could see him getting smashed off the boards and probably even going off strong favourite. And then in the county on Friday, with it's the Dan Skelton benefit race, isn't it? In recent years, so 3 horses placed in it and 3 winning it in the last 7 years, and he's got Pembroke going into it here off 136. Be shocked if he's not better than 136. Dotted up at Ludlow on the bridle, then went to Cheltenham on Trials Day, stepped up to 2.5. That good horse of Sid Hosey's just outstayed him on soft ground. I think it was a case of a 2-miler running into a future Midlands national horse, if you see what I'm saying. He got outstayed by the stayer. He's coming back down in distance here. Be given a mark of 136. I'd be shocked if he's not better than that. And given the Skelton's record in this race, this is his type of this is his bag. So there's Ted's Trixie for you. Hopefully they're there or thereabouts jumping the last. We've got something to shout for.
Pembroke, Brandy Love, Camprond. Steve, does the horse run?
It was the bumper, was it?
Yeah, Salt Rock in the 540.
Sorry to disappoint yet again. Not entered.
Oh no.
Or
Not
not declared.
Oh shame.
Okay, well, we'll scrap that. Can we go back to the 430, Steve? Is Oh, I've got it out in front of me now. I don't even need you. Copper Cove, good. Thanks, Steve. Copper Cove. Charlie, did you put this horse up to follow this year?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, as in, like again, I think he's a very interesting horse, especially off that opening mark now. Yeah.
So he's got a mark of 106. Can you just sort of echo why you put? Because that's why I've been half following him. I mean, fundamentally, he's been a bit disappointing, particularly on debut, a hurdle debut, having won a bumper, right?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I think like both times there were sort of excuses. He kind of like over raced the first day around Foss and didn't quite see it out. And again, the second day, just been brought along steadily. I'd be very, very surprised if there isn't plenty of upside in him off. I think he's got, is it 106 that we said? Yeah, his opening mark.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I put him up as a horse that is going to be seeing the better effect as a chaser in time. And I wasn't saying that he was going to be a top class or anything, but there's definitely plenty of races to be won with him. And I'd have thought starting life off handicaps of 106, he's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and just given recent form, I mean, I know he's on handicap debut. I can't believe he's going to be that hard in the betting. It's a 13-runner field, so I'll be keen to see what price he opens at. Well worth putting Salt Rock in your tracker away for hopefully when that horse does run. Good. Best lays then, first of all. Best lays. Charlie.
Just price, like you say, because of the huge weight rise for.
What's that? What are you doing here? Sorry, if for anybody listening on the podcast, our producer Dan has just laid Constitution Hill in capitals in front of my face because I said that on the Cheltenham preview. I stand by it. Too short. Sorry, go on, Charlie. Carry on making your case.
So yeah, just because of the huge weight rise for winning the Denman the last day, and look, he's very good rounds Newbury, but he's pretty unpredictable everywhere else. If Zanzar's less than 3.5, I'd be willing to take him on. Like I say, I like Lord Baddesley. And there's plenty of others in this race with upside, and like I said, I just wouldn't be wanting to follow him in at a short price, so I'd be taking him on for that reason alone.
Okay, and I do have a lay for you. Whilst I am laying Constitution Hill in the Champion Hurdle, because I'm very happy to pay 400 quid to win four figures to potentially see him win. Well, almost certainly see him win. But yeah, I think he should be a little bit bigger. I think Flame Bearer is a take-on job, who's currently joint favourite on in the 420 at Navan. This horse just jumped so poorly. He got a few wrong at Nace on his debut, where he was beaten at 1.45. Fairy House, subsequently, he made all he won, but he stuffed the last, and he had it all his own way. And then I know it was the Irish Arkle last time, but he jumped like stink again. These horses up against Hollow Games and Hardor are no slouches. Even Indiana Jones is very capable. So I thought he's been priced up on his hurdles form, but on nothing he's done over fences. So, and I'm hoping something takes him on up top. But I'll be laying Flame Bearer at around about 3.0 or shorter. Best bets. Reminder of the offer. So it's for new customers only. It's double the odds on the best bets. You've got to use the bonus code podcast for that. So anything we put up, win and place, or in the win market, or just the place market, you get double the odds for new customers on those selections. Charlie, your best bet.
I have gonna best bet Santos Blue in the 3 o'clock at Kelso. Like I say, I think he's a horse that's gone up through the handicap ranks, but there's still plenty of upside in him.
Ed, your best bet.
Yeah, Dear Mark, 150 Kelso, strong traveller, arrives on a hat-trick, ground to be much more suitable to him. Simon Thomas Yard in form. I'm finding it hard to knock him out the frame.
My best bet is Ho Jolie Smoke for the Skeltons in that novice hurdle over what I think is a much more suitable trip. And he did best of those ridden patiently in a slow run race last time. Steve, your best bet?
I'm going to go at 130 Doncaster Excitations.
Lovely. That's us. We are done. Our podcast is up currently for Cheltenham with the Insights column up as well. So get stuck into that. The Insights column for this will be up later on today. Thursday, late on in the day, it will be our handicap Cheltenham preview. That's well worth getting stuck into. We've massed another team of experts for you there. Enjoy your weekend, one and all. Ed, Steve, Charlie, thanks ever so much. Bye-bye.